Okay, we are back. Fantasy Savvy weekly show with your host, Steve D'Angelo. Back for a week one recap. FAAB waivers discussion. We're going to go game by game, player by player, all the relevant happenings from week one. Take these glasses off. The glare is coming through. But I need those blue light glasses. I'll pop them on back later. But thanks for joining us tonight, everyone. We are back. It's been a little while. I was sick for about freaking almost 2 weeks. I don't know what the hell hit me. I was drafting all the way up until Saturday. I wanted to get a couple more live drafts out there for you guys and wanted a couple more on Face Off Sports Network. I just was not feeling well. But we are back for a week one recap, FAAB waivers. We're going to go game by game, break down all the relevant happenings. I rewatched as many games as I possibly could. So we're going to get into it very shortly. You guys, let me just take this stupid thing off here. You guys can follow me on Twitter at Fantasy Savvy. Also, like, subscribe, share. Really appreciate it. You can follow me on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all linked in the YouTube page. So you can check that out. Like, subscribe there as well. Also can be found on the Face Off Sports Network. We'll be on tomorrow, getting ready for week 2 and the Thursday night game. And my NFL picks will be back on the Face Off Sports Network as well. So that will be after the Thursday night game. We'll do a Thursday night recap, and then we'll do the NFL picks. So that's Face Off Sports Network on YouTube. Like, subscribe, share over there. Of course, I'll be there Monday, Wednesday, Friday with those guys. We're doing a lot of big things over there. A lot of great work going on. But this is my show here, Fantasy Savvy Weekly. We go long with this show, breaking down the week. So let's get into it. We're going to come back on the other side. We'll go all the way back to the opening game between the Chiefs and the Ravens. And then we'll go into the Friday game and then into all the Sunday games. So let's get into it. Fantasy Savvy Weekly. Follow me on Fantasy Savvy. Let's go. Welcome to the Fantasy Savvy Weekly Show with your host, Steve D'Angelo, discussing high-stakes fantasy football, NFL picks, and much more. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Okay, we're back, and we are going to go game by game here. We'll start with the Chiefs Ravens, and I know a lot of guys had waivers tonight, but this is more, going to be a little bit more geared towards high stakes fantasy and waivers that obviously are going to get into tomorrow and then open up Thursday morning, the deadline tomorrow night actually. So we'll get into a lot of these, as we go through the games. We'll talk about the players that I think should be added. You guys have any questions, comments, leave it in the chat. We'll bring it up. I see we got one from Harry Schaff. We'll get into that pretty quickly. Let's just start with this Chiefs-Ravens game. Last Thursday, Chiefs get the W on the opening night, 27-20. Obviously the likely pass, the back of the end zone, just a foot, freaking toe away from, tying the game up. Lamar missed Zay Flowers. He missed Likely earlier, but the big story of this game was obviously Isaiah Likely, 9 for 11 on 12 targets, 9 for 111 on 12 targets, 1 touchdown, almost had another. And, the Ravens talked about him being a bigger part of the offense, and it's his 3rd year now. He's been sitting behind Mark Andrews, and I don't see how this guy is going away. He's just too talented. They got to keep him involved in the offense. Rashad Bateman's still underwhelming. Zay Flowers is good. His ADOT was terrible, but still 10 targets, 6 for 37. Zay's going to connect for some big plays. I do like Zay Flowers going forward. Lamar, man, he looked like lightning quick. Ran for 122 yards on 16 carries. He was running all over the damn place. So maybe with that cut weight, he's going to start running even more this year. Still doesn't get a touchdown. Never really was a big touchdown guy. Henry finishes it off in the end zone there. Wasn't a great game script for Henry. Just 13 carries. We saw Justice Hill catch 6 balls for 52 yards. And Justice Hill is a nice little pickup. He's going to be a mainstay in that offense, especially when they're down. He's going to be like their receiving back. And Justice Hill's a good player. Keaton Mitchell's still on the IR. He's weeks away from coming back. Rasheen Ali, their rookie that they're drafted, he's weeks away as well. The question is Mark Andrews. Definitely was bracketed a lot. You could tell the Chiefs were clogging the middle of the field. They did not want Andrews to hurt them. That's been Lamar's go-to guy. That's where Lamar likes to go to, the middle of the field. So, you can't get too worried about Andrews, but the problem is likely he's not going away. So, it's not going to be Andrews just dominating all the targets like he did. I mean, he's certainly going to have some big games, but I don't know if he's going to be that huge, consistent option that he was in years past. And this is kind of my concern last year when they brought in Flowers and then Bateman was healthy and then Beckham was there, but they didn't really elevate likely too much. Andrews was still the guy, just got hurt. Again, Andrews is going to be good. He's going to be one of the better tight ends. I think those dominant days of him just going nuts all the time, might be over because I think likely he's too good for them not to utilize continuously. So, if Isaiah Likely's out there on your waivers, you're going to have to drop a heavy load. I mean, at least 50% of your FAAB money to try to get him. If you really need a tight end, you could go 60, 70% if you're really desperate, especially in tight end premium. I mean, if he's out there in a tight end premium 1.5, you're going to go even more nuts than that. But besides that, Justice Hill is the other pickup here. If you need running back help, he'll certainly help you in PPR leagues. He probably will give you like 8 to 10 points a game. Not a lot of upside there, but again, he'll be a solid like flex play for you every week. On the other side, we see Pacheco dominate the carries, dominate the workload at running back. Again, there's really nobody behind him. Samaje Perine was not really a factor. Carson Steele did nothing. So it's the Isaiah Pacheco show, 7th round pick a couple years ago out of Rutgers, 15 carries for 45 yards, just 3 yards per carry, but catches 2 balls for 33 yards. Still a ton of usage. So Pacheco is the guy there. He's not the most talented back in the world, but he gives 120% effort, and he's in such a great situation with the Chiefs. Mahomes, kind of a slow day, 20 of 28, 291, 1 touchdown, throws the 1 pick. Rashee Rice is the guy, 7 for 103. He is just runs those routes in the slot, those little, curl routes, and then they just rely on Rashee Rice to get that yak. And now Mahomes was talking about how Worthy just opens up things so much more because he's such a threat with his speed. And, only 3 touches for Worthy, but 2 touchdowns, 1 on a carry and 1 for a touchdown where he was kind of wide open, but 2 for 47. Hollywood Brown should be back soon. He had the shoulder injury, probably maybe another week or 2. He'll be out. There was some talk maybe they could hold him out after their bye week, which is week 6, but you'd probably expect him to come back by week 3, week 4. It seems like he's getting really close. So let's see how that affects Worthy. It did take Rashee Rice a little bit of while to get involved to the offense last year. But Worthy had such a great debut, and, his speed is just different at 4.2, and he's a good route runner too. It's not like he's like MVS just running down the field, not running good routes. This guy can run good routes. He's kind of like almost like the Chiefs version of Tank Dell in a way. Noah Gray getting some work as well. 3 catches for 37 yards. Kelsey, slow day, 3 for 34. Again, there was some talk that they may manage Kelsey this year a little bit, and you kind of saw that a little bit with Noah Gray getting more into the mix than usual. Kelsey kind of wasn't his true self last year, whether it was, they're just managing him, maybe it was distractions with Taylor Swift a little bit, you could say that. But he certainly went off in the playoffs when it mattered, and that's kind of what it's kind of what I think the Chiefs want to do a little bit, manage him. He is 35 years old now. He's getting up there. So they want to be smart with him. Nothing really of note. Samaje Perine, if you have a deep bench, not a bad stash because there's really nobody else there. But there's really no big pickups here for the Chiefs. Juju Smith-Schuster dropped the pass. He's actually getting a little bit of playing time, but he's not on your radar at all. So the Chiefs get the W here, 27-20. Let's go with Harry Schaff's question here. With Love out, might be forced to start Bryce Young in my Superflex league. Send help. Yeah, rewatch that game. We'll talk about that. Bryce Young continues to look lost, and I had high hopes for Bryce Young, man. Really liked him a lot coming out of Alabama. Kind of gave him a pass last year because the Panthers were a mess with their offensive line. There was no weapons really, but they brought in some new weapons this year with Deontay Johnson. They drafted Xavier Legette. They obviously draft Jonathan Brooks. He's out still, but the offensive line really wasn't blocking that great. But still, to open up the game with a pick with an overthrow to Deontay Johnson getting picked, there was several throws that he missed. He's on the run, just missing throws. So it was a bad debut. So, if you have to use love, you have to use love. I mean, maybe it's a super flex league, so most of the quarterbacks are eating up. I don't know if maybe you want to go with Jacoby Brissett or something like that if he's out there, but he might be snatched up too. But good luck, my man. All right, next game was the Friday night game, and this is a game where Jordan Love, hurt his MCL. Thank God it wasn't anything more serious, like an ACL. But sounds like he's going to be out at least a couple more weeks. We'll see how long. He's doubtful this week. They're going to go with Malik Willis. Malik Willis looks very, very inaccurate. Josh Jacobs started slow in this game, but started look a little bit more explosive as the game went on. 16 for 84, 5.3. Jaden Reed, man, just an explosive player. 4 for 138 and a touchdown. Dobbs 4 for 50. He's he gets the most routes. He runs the most routes. He's on the field the most. So he'll have some big games, but obviously with Malik Willis, it's a lot of trouble for a lot of these Packers receivers. I would say Jaden Reed benefits the most because he kind of plays that hybrid role where you can throw screens to him, where you can give him reverses, you can use him out of the backfield. So, he probably benefits the most. And then like guys like Dobbs and Watson and Wicks especially, I mean, they're really going to suffer with Malik Willis. I mean, I kind of like Willis a little bit, but he just really has not developed as a passer. So I don't know what the Packers are going to do. They're probably going to run it a shitload of times. We'll see if Marshawn Lloyd makes his way back, the rookie out of USC this week. Maybe he gets more involved in the run game. But Emmanuel Wilson didn't look bad either. 4 for 46 on the ground. Tucker Kraft. If you guys were listening to my draft shows, watch me on Face Off, I liked him a lot more than Luke Musgrave, even though Luke Musgrave was going way ahead of him in drafts. Luke Musgrave was drafted ahead of him in last year's draft as well. And Tucker Kraft was undrafted in a lot of leagues. But when you watch the two play, it's pretty clear Tucker Kraft's the better player. And I think the Packers realized that too. And he was getting more work. 2 catches for 37. Musgrave doesn't catch a pass. So Tucker Kraft's not a bad pickup. But, I mean, you don't have to pick him up now because he's probably not going to do much. Actually, I mean, maybe he'll be a little bit of a favor for Willis. So if you're in tight end hell, it's not a terrible stash. But I think once Love comes back, he could kind of be a bigger factor because he's a good player. I mean, there's a ton of guys to throw to there. He definitely will be inconsistent, but I think he has some potential. Could have some nice games. Christian Watson goes 3 for 13, catches the touchdown. Had a couple more opportunities that they just couldn't connect on. Watson with that 6'4" frame is a nice red zone target. So again, all these receivers are going to suffer. It's going to be tough sledding for, as Love is out. I mean, I don't know what the hell they're going to do. They're going to run the ball a lot. Again, Jaden Reed benefits the most. I don't want to start Dobbs. I don't want to start Watson. Wicks is still buried behind those guys. He's going to need an injury to really get a chance. He's a good stash, though. A guy to really keep an eye on if there is an injury, a guy to snatch up because he is very, very talented. And then Jacobs, you roll him out there. He's going to get a ton of work now. So, and then Malik Willis, in a super flex league, if you're desperate, you could roll with him, but it's going to be ugly. You're going to have to hope he runs for like 78 yards and a touchdown or two, which he can do. I mean, he is a good runner, but he's really got to develop a passing game. I don't know. It's going to be ugly for the Packers passing game. On the other side, Saquon Barkley, what a debut for him in Philly. Finally gets the offensive line that he deserves after all those terrible offensive lines he suffered with the Giants, all those injuries he suffered there, and then the offensive injuries too. It wasn't just Barkley. The receivers were getting hurt. The quarterback's getting hurt. it was just a rough go for Saquon Barkley for the most part in New York. I mean, he had some big seasons, but he suffered a lot of injuries, there's a lot of struggles. But he's seemingly overcame it. The Giants could have brought him back. We all watched the Hard Knocks. They decided not to. They let him test the market. And, Barkley felt a little bit slighted. So he goes to the Eagles. Mara was kind of pissed about that. He did not want Barkley to go to the Eagles. And what a debut. He was definitely having nightmares, especially after the Giants looked absolutely horrible in week 1. So 24 for 109, 4.5 yards per carry for Barkley, 2 touchdowns. Also catches that nice little wheel route. So you want to see him get a little bit more involved in the passing game. 2 for 23 and a touchdown because Barkley is such a threat out of the backfield. We'll see if that ups a little bit. But I mean, you got A.J. Brown, you got Devonta Smith to throw to. These guys demand a lot of targets. So we'll see how Barkley factors in the pass game. But he certainly looked very, very good in this run game. And I was doing drafts up on Saturday. Barkley was going 2 overall, after being like end of the first round, early mid-second round pick. So he was flying up. I was actually happy. I got him 10th overall in a draft after the fact, so I got all those points. Hurts, a little bit sloppy, 20 of 34, 278, 2 more picks. He ended last year throwing a lot of picks, like 4 or 5 in his last 3 or 4 games, something like that. Obviously, we know the Eagles fell completely apart down the stretch last year. I was wondering how they would fare coming into the season. They looked better. Their defense looked better. Their rookie corners, I thought, played pretty well. So, I think the Eagles righted the ship, got rid of those 2 coordinators. They bring in veterans, Fangio and a new offensive coordinator. And so they're turning around so far. We'll see how it continues. Hurts has got to cut down the turnovers. Again, 2 more picks, but runs for 33 yards, throws for 278. A.J. Brown breaks a big play, 67 yards, 5 for 119 and a touchdown. Devonta has a nice day, 7 for 84, 4 for 31 in this Kellen Moore offense for Dallas Goedert. And, Kellen Moore historically likes the tight ends. So we'll see how Goddard does. I mean, he should, if Goddard could stay healthy, he should have a career year. That's been Goddard's issue. He just always misses games. Seems like he misses 3-4 games every year. Pickups on either side. There's really nothing of note. I know some people are probably going to drop Dontavian Wicks. So again, if you have a deep bench, he's not a bad stash. If you have some trash, but just keep an eye on him. There's an injury here. When Love comes back, Wicks could definitely be a big factor at some point this season. But he's going to need an injury. He's going to need Watson to go down or Dobbs or Reed to really get the significant playing time to be a consistent fantasy option. So the Eagles start out 1-0 in the Brazil game. Jordan Love, 17 of 34 for 260, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick, a little bit off on some of his throws, was throwing off his back foot a little bit too much. But, he gets to kind of sit back, look at the tape, realize his errors, get healthy. And, the Packers will be just fine. They got to get some wins before they get in too big of a hole before Love gets back. So they don't, because they still have a playoff team. So they just got to hope that, they can get 1 or 2 wins while Love is back. Hopefully Love is only out like maybe 3 weeks tops. All right. Next game. And we got some more questions. I'll get to those in a minute. Let's talk about Bills and the Cardinals. 34-28 Bills get the W. Josh Allen starts a little bit slow, but then gets cooking. Had a rushing touchdown call back, but still gets to the end zone twice. We also saw the second touchdown where he jumped in the air. He got his hand hit. He had the big wrap, but he's going to be fine for Thursday night. Said he's preparing as normally. Everything seems normal. I don't know what it is. I don't know. Maybe he's got some sort of broken bone in there, partial fracture in there, or it's just bruised up real bad. They really haven't said anything what was wrong with his hand. It's going to be in a glove and probably wrapped up. But it's not his throwing hand. It's his left hand. We'll see if it affects handoffs a little bit. We'll see if Josh is a little bit more safe with the running, but probably not. I mean, Josh has pretty much dominated the Dolphins. This is going to be a big game in Miami, so it's going to be very sure. But Allen, 18 of 23, 232, two touchdowns. Throws a very, very nice throw to Mac Hollins for a touchdown. Also, Khalil Shakir, most of that was Khalil Shakir spinning out, bending his body to get into the end zone. Um, Coleman had the most routes, most snaps. I think then it was Kincaid, and I think Shakir was third. I think Mac Hollins was fourth. I think Samuels was just behind that, but Samuel was coming back from an injury. So we'll see how Samuel works in. Scantling, one catch for 19 yards. He actually was open on a deep route. He actually had his guy beat. Allen just missed them barely. But Kincaid played a ton. Just not a great game. They were covering him for sure. They were bracketing him. He was definitely a big focus of Gannon's defense. Just got to be patient with Dalton Kincaid. He's going to have a nice season. He's going to have a good year. Matt Collins, is he a pickup? I mean, he's going to be inconsistent, but, he did play the fourth most snaps out of that wide receiver core, and he did catch a touchdown. So, again, deep bench, you could put him on there. But, maybe somebody to just keep an eye on because he could have a decent year here with the Bills. And, Allen really did spread it around. Keon Coleman, I was kind of encouraged. Had that one big catch down the sideline, 451 on 5 targets. I still like Shakir the most here in this offense. I just think he's going to give you the most here. We'll see. But Coleman does probably have the most upside. He just got to grow as a receiver a little bit, still a little bit raw as a route runner, but certainly a big body, certainly could be a nice red zone threat for them. And Allen's going to give him chances. Ray Davis mixed in a little bit here behind James Cook, with James Cook 19 carries. So, Joe Brady took over this offense at the end of last year, and they started really running the hell out of the football. So 19 carries for James Cook, just 3.7 yards per carry. Cook also catches 3 for 32. So he dominated the backfield. Ray Davis mixed in a little bit, 3 for 13, 1 catch for 14. Ty Johnson is a little bit banged up this week. He may not play. He had 2 carries in this game. Also had a target. So, it could be a little bit more of Ray Davis. You're not starting Ray Davis yet, but Ray Davis is a good stash. If you drafted him, keep him on your bench. I think his role will grow a little bit as the season goes on. And certainly if there's an injury to Cook, he's a very, very good handcuff to have. Rookie out of Kentucky. Pretty good story on Ray Davis, too. The guy's definitely been through a lot. Living in group homes. His parents passed away early, and but he overcame it all. And he's a good quality back. On the other side, Kyle Murray definitely got his legs back. 5 carries for 57 yards. So a year removed that ACL. 21 of 31, 162 yards. Throwing 1 touchdown. James Conner 16 for 50 and a touchdown. He dominated the carries. Trey Benson just got 3 carries. And Conner, man, he just continues to get it done. 3 for 33 through the air. He is just a big 6'2", 225, workhorse type back. So Trey Benson's going to have to wait his turn. Now, Trey Benson probably will get a little bit more burn as the season goes on. And we know about Connor's injury history. So if you drafted Trey Benson, you just got to hold him and be patient, especially if you're a Connor owner. You want him as that handcuff. Because Trey Benson gets in there, he's going to be very, very good if he gets a chance. Big concern here for Marvin Harrison in his rookie debut. Just 1 catch for 4 yards. I mean, for where he was going, end of the first round, I hated draft. I took him in 1 league and I hated it. I just thought it was way too high. Harrison, definitely, very developed player, obviously under his dad, good route runner, sound, big, good size, but he's not like explosive. He's not like and his routes, maybe a little bit slow. So we'll see how his game converts to the NFL and against these NFL corners. I mean, it's one thing to dominate in college, and he was the first receiver taken off the board, but it doesn't always work out that way. So he's still got a lot to prove. He's going to have to really step up to pay off that first round ADP. I thought it was way too high. But slow game here. Bills defense is still solid. McDermott knows what the hell he's doing. He could coach up the defense very well. Even McBride had a slow game, 5 for 30. But McBride was out there for like over 90% of the snaps, so tons of usage. He's gonna get targeted heavily by Murray. I like McBride still as the tight end one this year. Greg Dortch, the Dortchman, 6 for 47. He's definitely a factor. They were saying he's the second receiver over Mike Wilson. Mike Wilson was being drafted over him. Mike Wilson did catch the touchdown in this game, but just one catch. Dortch was 6 for 47. So Dortch is out there in your league. Think he's a decent pickup if you need help at receiver. Be patient, obviously, with Harrison and McBride, especially McBride. Harrison, I may be a little concerned about as far as, like having a big time production in his rookie season, especially with Kyler. Like, Kyler's just, he's smaller. He's not a great thrower of the football. He's inconsistent. Where Kyler's going to pay you in fantasies with his legs, and he's going to have some big throwing days too. But he's going to have some off days too. He still misses throws a lot. I think his size hurts him a little bit. So we'll see. We'll see how Harrison benefits. With in this offense, I just don't think he's going to pay off that first round ADP. And that's it. Bills get the win 34-28 here. And they play this Thursday night in Miami against the Dolphins. All right. We got some questions here. Chaka says, should I sell high on Cup? Like, is this peak value? A lot of guys had a bad week 1, and I'm wondering if I should try to go get a good 2-for-1 while his value is so high. Well, what I could say about Cup is Puka's going to be out 4 weeks with this PCL. It's possible it could be something that aggravates him all year. So the next 3 weeks, we just saw Cup have 21 targets. And McVay does one of the best jobs of just setting up his receivers for success with the motion, getting them layup routes. I mean, Cup is 31 years old. He's not as explosive as he used to be. He does have injury concerns, but he's the alpha in that receiving room. And McVay is just going to find rubs and motions to get him open. And Cup is still a good route runner. He's still got great hands. He's still smart. He knows the system like the back of his hands. Stafford trusts him with everything he's got. So unless you're getting a really good deal, you got to just hold Cooper Kupp, especially with Puka out. I mean, he may just win you the next 3 games while Puka's out. And again, Puka's injury could linger. Now, Kupp does have injury concerns, and that's one of the reasons, a lot of people did pass on him. I passed on him in most leagues too. Going in the second round, I did think Puka was going to kind of, overstep him, but Puka's just struggling with injury now. But, I think you just got to hold unless you get a really, really good deal. He's still very, very solid. He's still in a great system. And we just saw when you get a receiver with 21 targets, going to give you 30 fantasy points. I mean, he could do that for the next 3 weeks in a row. George C asks, what defense do you like better this week? Houston, Indy, or Jacksonville? I got to look at the schedule real quick. I'm still in recap mode, but I'll take a quick gander into week 2 for you, and we'll get into the defenses here in week 2. So Houston wasn't a great debut for them. I thought they'd be a little bit better against the Colts. I think they gave you like 5 fantasy points. I used them in a couple spots. They get the Bears. We just saw Caleb struggle against the Titans. Now, he protected the ball well. He didn't have any turnovers. The Texans are favored by 7 at home. You do have the bully that is Daniel Hunter. You do have Will Anderson coming off the edge. So I kind of like that a little bit. Let's look at the other matchups here. You said Jacksonville. I actually am in a 16-team league, and I was thinking about Jacksonville against the Browns as well. Deshaun Watson is not looking good right now. Total is 41 in that game. And the last one you mentioned here was Indy. And the Colts are playing the Packers and Malik Willis. So, yeah. Man, that's the all three of those are good. I like all three of those. Maybe you go with the Colts, man, against Malik Willis. Malik Willis, I don't know. He may just toss 2 picks. You know, they may just run the ball freaking 45 times, though, the Packers, and try to play defense, but they're not going to be able to. Malik Willis is probably going to have to. Well, we saw what Anthony Richardson did. So I think that one might have the most upside, but I like all of them. I mean, they're all solid. Even the Texans and the Jags. But I think maybe Malik Willis is the one there. You can get some picks, you can get some sacks there, and the Packers probably aren't going to put up a lot of points. So, if you get a lot of points for holding under 10 or 14, that's probably the way to go. Thanks for the question. Hector asks, Ferguson is my only tight end. Should I drop Curtis for Parkinson? Colby Parkinson, Curtis Samuel, I'm assuming. It sounds like Ferguson may play this week, so just hang on for now. Colby Parkinson should be decent, but McVay was talking about how he wanted to use Davis Allen more, and the game script just didn't work that way. But they did pay Parkinson. He probably is the better blocker. He kind of takes that Tyler Higbee role, but he's not going to give you a ton of production. He's not like he's really done nothing in his career. So if there's some other tight ends out there, maybe like a Chigo Quankwo, you could hold out hope for them because Ferguson may play. I'd like to hold Curtis Samuel if I can. How much would you spend on JMO? If you need a receiver, I mean, in general, I probably would blow at least 70% of my FAAB on him. Man, he looked good. And he really looks like he's worked hard on running routes. And he's so fast. I mean, it's crazy to say, but he could be the more productive receiver this year than Amon-Ra St. Brown in this offense. At the very least, he's going to really dig into St. Brown's production this year because he's going to be too much of a factor for them. I mean, if he's going to play like that and show out like that and run routes like that, I mean, there's one drag route. He separated. It wasn't even close. Like St. Brown, he gets open, but he's not a huge separator. He relies on the offense to kind of get him open. And, obviously he's tough. He breaks tackles. He's got good hands, but he doesn't have JMO's pure talent and speed downfield. So yeah, man, 70, 80%. And you want to spend your FAAB early because this is when, most of the best free agents are coming. So you can manage it the rest of the way. And, if you have 0 bids too, that's always a plus. George Play says, should I use my number one waiver priority to pick up Irving? If so, who should I drop? Trey Benson or Blake Corum? Wow. I like Benson, but obviously he's buried behind Connor. And Irving has a little bit more of a role, but Benson's the better prospect. And then Blake Corum, I mean, you can't really drop him because, if something happens to Kyren Williams, Blake Corum is going to just have that role, and he's going to go ahead of Ronnie Rivers. I mean, I know McVay likes Ronnie Rivers. He keeps talking about Ronnie Rivers. But McVay also said that he wants to use Corum more. The game plan just didn't, they wanted to use Rivers and Corum more. So, I don't think you have to go and pick up Irving. I mean, you could be fine with Benson and Corum, but if you need a guy with a little bit more production, you could go after Irving and drop Benson. I'd hate to drop either guy. It's kind of a tough spot. Maybe there's another guy you could drop out there. But Bucky Irving I like too. But Rachaad White's still the main guy. And that's going to be, if anything, it's going to be like a 60-40 split tops, I think, with White in favor. But there is a chance that Irving could maybe outplay him. So I would say, if you need a little bit more production, Irving's obviously going to be better than Benson in the short term. But obviously if Connor goes down, then Trey Benson is going to be a very, very nice player, more so than Irving. But I mean, they're both solid. So that's a tough one. But if I had to drop one of those guys, it would be Benson, not Corum. My other running backs are Barkley, Gibbs, Brian Robinson, Jordan Mason, Javante. Yeah, so you're pretty stacked, man. Like, I don't think you need to go out and spend your number one waiver priority on Irving because you have your running backs are absolutely stacked. Barkley, Gibbs, Brian Robinson, Jordan Mason. You have four solid running backs. I know Javante started slow, and I don't really like Javante, but at least it gives you depth there. And then Jalen Wright may get some work this week, and Chan and Moser are already hurt. Hector says, I have CJ Stroud, Ramondre Stevenson, Rashad White, St. Brown, Waddle, Ferguson, Adams, Bears defense, and Bates kicker. Bench Kirk, Moss, Palmer, Samuel, Herbert, Hollywood Brown, Charbs. Make a move or no? You could, like I just mentioned with St. Brown, maybe you could get something nice for him. Maybe you could get a nice piece for him. Again, I think JMO's going to eat into his production. So it has to be a really good deal, though. You got to make sure it's a really good deal because St. Brown is a very, very proven fantasy piece, but he has a ton of value. There's going to be people that want him. So I wouldn't maybe mind moving him for something really, really good. But besides that, I don't think you're in a terrible situation. Your running backs aren't great, so maybe you could. Yeah, I don't know. I think maybe you can move St. Brown for like a receiver and a running back there, improve your running back situation. Because besides Stevenson and White, you only got Herbert and Charbs. You don't really have much depth there, unless you have Zach Moss. That's not bad. Zach Moss is nice too. So yeah, that's pretty good. But yeah, I mean, I think you'd be okay. But if you wanted to maybe move St. Brown, is that Devontae Adams? Maybe you can move him as well. Those two guys would be the ones to possibly move. And Prashant says, yo, Jamin looks so good. I agree. Hector says, would you drop Curtis Samuel for Justice Hill? Also, just subscribe to you for first 5 minutes listening. Thanks, man. Appreciate the subscribe, man. Really, really appreciate that. If you need a running back, like I just mentioned, and you do kind of need the depth. I would drop probably Herbert for Justice Hill, actually, because Herbert didn't really play too much. And the Bears offense, I don't know how good they're going to be anyway. So I would probably hold on to Curtis Samuel and drop Herbert and pick up Justice Hill. So Turtle says start Brian Thomas or Deontay Johnson. You got to start Brian Thomas. Bryce Young did look like a hot mess. So go with Brian Thomas. He caught that touchdown, almost caught another one. Jalen Ramsey was mugging the hell out of him. And lastly, JSN or Deontay. I go JSN. Justin Herbert, the quarterback. All right, guys. Thanks for the questions. I appreciate the like, subscribe. Really appreciate that, guys. So let's get into let's keep going here. And let's get into the next game. I did not watch this game. It was the Bengals and Patriots. I kind of figured I was going to watch it. And I didn't want to really get deceived here because Burrow started really slow last year. I saw there was something on the sideline with his hand. He was shaking his hand. He obviously had the wrist injury last year. And just 21 of 29, 164, just 5.7 completion there for Burrow. So not throwing deep. No Higgins in this game. Chase just coming back. 6 for 62 for Chase. Issa Voss, all this talk about him. Just 3 for 26. Gesicki dropped a touchdown. Zach Moss worked way ahead of Chase Brown. 9 for 44 for Zach Moss. Gets into the end zone. We'll see about Chase Brown. I think they need to utilize him to get a little more explosion in this offense, utilize him in the pass game. But the Bengals start slow, so I don't want to take too much out of this game. Higgins was out. Chase had the freaking contract thing. It was kind of weird vibes with them. This was, a lot of people took them in Survivor, which was a big mistake, including myself. It was, they were the biggest favorite on the day. Jacoby Brissett, they were at home. But I'm not going to take too much out of this game because Burrow started so slow last year and then really picked it up before he got hurt. But there could be something with that wrist. We're really going to have to pay attention. But I want to watch what he does this week more so than last week. Jacoby Brissett, 15 of 24, 121 again. It's just a matter of time before Drake May gets in there. They're going to be like probably 2-4, 2-6, or 1-5. We're going to see Drake May come in. The receivers, a lot of people draft Jalen Polk. I thought it was a mistake. I don't even think he's the most talented receiver on the team. I like Douglas better. I mean, KJ Osborne might be better. Tyquan Thornton might even be better than him. So he was like the highest receiver drafted. Thought it was a waste. It wasn't going to be good anyway with Brissett and freaking a rookie quarterback. The offensive line stinks. So none of these receivers you really want. I mean, if there's any guy that I'm going to keep my eye on the receiving room here, it's going to be Hunter Henry or possibly Demario Douglas. Antonio Gibson. I mean, he just has been fool's gold year in and year out. He's just not a good running back. Ramondre Stevenson is a good running back. 25 for $120, 4.8 gets to the end zone, just 3 catches for 6 yards. But they are going to lean on him heavily. Ramondre Stevenson, just hope that he can hold up. He is a workhorse back. We hope that he could hold up. Had a nice game here against Lou Anarumo and his Bengals defense. So if you took Stevenson 6th, 7th round where you're going, it's looking pretty nice right now. You just got to hope that Drake May can get in here sooner or later and kind of possibly revive this passing offense and maybe make Henry and Douglas and possibly Polk or Osborne Thornton a little bit relevant here and help the offense and help the team. But Patriots defense is solid. They still got a lot of guys on defense. Christian Gonzalez, Bentley, Peppers, Duggar. They got freaking 3 sacks in this game on Burrow. So they got pressure. They got to him. And then you're going to have to be patient with the Bengals. Chase, you're still throwing out there every week. We'll see if Higgins comes back this week. If you drafted Burrow, just got to be patient, maybe you drafted a Burrow and like a Tua. You'd probably start Tua out there, until Burrow really gets warmed up and gets T out there. But you just got to be patient. There's really no pickups of note that I see. Maybe Gesicki gets going at tight end a little bit. But again, he really hasn't done much in his career. Is it going to be a big change with the Bengals? We'll see. I don't know. Chase Brown is going to be dropped by a lot of people this week. So that's a guy that you could snatch up because a lot of people are being impatient. There's other options like J.K. Dobbins. People are going out and getting J.K. Dobbins, which I agree with. But Chase Brown, I wouldn't give up on him yet. You just got to be patient. But again, I want to see the Bengals play the next couple of weeks. I'm not going to judge them on this first, week game here. Coming off the Chase, this, salary, the contract stuff, and no Higgins and whatnot. All right, next game. Did watch this game. Minnesota and the Giants rewatched this game, and Darnold played well. Played well in this Kevin O'Connell system, 19 of 24 for 208, 2 touchdowns, 1 bad pick, but played well. Had some really nice throws. His best throw was like a corner route to Justin Jefferson. Absolutely beautiful ball. 4 for 59 for Jefferson and a touchdown. Jefferson scores on a quick slant. I think it was a 4th down too. Quick slant to Jefferson. Nice throw by Darnold. Good catch by Jefferson. Jordan Addison, 3 for 35 in this game. I think he came out a little bit banged up, though. We'll see if he plays Sunday. Jalen Naylor, 1 for 21 and a touchdown. Ty Chandler, 3 catches for 25 yards. Aaron Jones, just 2 catches, 15 yards. They should get him more involved in the passing. But Aaron Jones has a nice day on the ground, looking explosive. 6.7 yards per carry, 14 for 94 and a touchdown. So Aaron Jones, one of the better backs in the league. He was like a 6th, 7th round pick. If you started wide receiver early, and he was your first running back, not bad. Or if he was your second running back taken, very, very solid. But I mean, a good debut for Darnold. 19 of 24, very efficient. Didn't make a ton of big mistakes, just the one bad throw, really. The Giants defense, a lot to be desired, I think. But O'Connell is a very, very good coach. I think he's gonna kind of hone Darnold in a little bit. So it's a good sign for Jefferson. But the days of like Jefferson going nuts with Kirk Cousins are probably, far behind. That's kind of why I think he should have been like a late first round pick, maybe early second. But Jefferson is so talented. He could just go off despite any quarterback play. I mean, look at what Nick Mullins did for him last year. And there's going to be games where the Vikings are going to have to toss it a little bit more. They were in control. The Vikings defense very solid under Flores. He really could coach defense up. So they gave the Giants fits. They sacked Daniel Jones 5 times. The offensive line did not look much better. They did not run block. Devin Singletary, 10 for 37. Neighbors, 5 for 66. Jones's best throw was a throw that just over the reach of Stephon Gilmore. Threw it up high. Neighbors went up and got it. 7 targets for Neighbors, but he did not lead. It was Wan'Dale Robinson with 12 targets, 6 for 44. Wan'Dale's a good receiver. He's solid. Had a nice little catch. Did like a nice little spin move. He's good, and he's about 2 years removed from his ACL as well. So those are the 2 guys I would want to own. Singletary you hold for now. Obviously he's the number 1 guy there, but Eric Gray got a little bit of work. Tracy got a little bit of work. Tracy was being drafted. You could probably cut him at this point if you go for bigger and better things. Theo Johnson, their tight end, also dominated the snaps over Bellinger. So he'll be the guy going forward. So if you need tight end help, it's not terrible. But Jones, man, he's got a lot to work on. 2 more picks in this game. 1 was in the end zone. It was a 4th down. But 22 of 42 for 186. They tried to run with him a little bit too, and it just did not work. 6 for 15 on the ground. Wan'Dale Robinson had a carry for 14. So I like Wan'Dale Robinson. If he's out there, I think he's a nice asset for your teams for sure. On the Viking side, no real pickups of note. Most of these guys are already drafted. Theo Johnson, maybe at tight end. And that's it. It was a terrible debut for the Giants. So Brian Dable is on the hot seat right now, and so is Daniel Jones, and so is the GM. I mean, it's a shit show for the Giants right now. They really got to right this ship quick somehow, some way. All right, next game, Tennessee versus Chicago. I watched this whole game. We got some more questions. I'll get back to the questions real quick. The business circuit has 8-man PPR, 2 flex. Dak, CMC, Mason also, luckily. Well, that was smart by you to cuff him. Achan, Marv, Debo, McBride, Connor, Monty, Aubrey, bench Kirk, Worthy, Addison, Purdy, Puka. We'll see about Marv, man. He's really got to start again. He was a high pick in drafts, end of the first round, which I thought was kind of crazy, but still got to be patient. Better games ahead. I love McBride. Monty looked great. Dan Campbell absolutely loves him. The way he finished off that game, he just pulverized the defense to get that W there against the Rams on Sunday night. And then Worthy looks nice. Puka just got a hold. Maybe can you put Puka and CMC on IR? I would pick up J.K. Dobbins if he's out there for sure. That's one guy I would target if he was undrafted. In an 8-man, he may have been. It doesn't seem like your bench is that big either. And Y Prime says, hello, bro. What's up, man? Any waiver wire I need to pick up and how much FAAB to spend with 200? Dobbins, I mean, 8-man's tough for me. Like, I don't play in a lot of 8-man leagues, but, Dobbins, I would say, I'd spend like $75 for him. You may need to spend more. I don't know. It's tough. I don't really know what's out there on the wire in an 8-man league, but I definitely would have to go after Dobbins. So you're going to have to assess it the best way you think possible. Y Prime says half PPR redraft. Would you trade DK Metcalf for Marvin Harrison Jr.? No, I would hold on to DK Metcalf. I think DK is going to have a nice year. Slow start for him. He was being locked up by Patrick Surtain. So slow start for him. Be patient with DK. He's an absolute freak. And I think the Seahawks got something with McDonald's, the head coach, and this guy, a Grubb coming over from Washington. I think their offense is going to be a hell of a lot better. Look at what Kenny Walker did in week 1. Looked absolutely awesome getting unleashed. Tingley says, should I start Captain Christian Kirk or Scary Terry at Flex PPR? Again, we are recapping the week, but we'll get into the start sit. Also, too, guys, tomorrow on the Face Off Sports Network, head over to that channel. We'll be doing start sits Wednesday and Friday. But I'll answer that question. Terry's got the Giants. And then you got Kirk against the Browns. So I like Terry, man. I know that he didn't have a great debut. Daniels just missed him on a bomb. And it's a good matchup against the Giants. I'm not crazy about Kirk's matchup against the Browns. Browns have a good secondary, good defense. So I like Terry there. He's the clear number 1 in that offense. Whereas, Kirk's got to deal with Brian Thomas now. You got to deal with Ingram. You got to deal with ETN. Gabe Davis is there as well. So yeah, let's go with Terry there, man. Thanks for the question. All right, back to the games, guys. Bears, Titans. I watched this whole game because I wanted to see how Caleb looked. I had my doubts about Caleb. Could he really play in the NFL? Obviously, the arm talent. He's got some, make some truly special throws, but got to see him play from the pocket. Got to see if he could take hits. Got to see if he could outrun, defenders in the NFL. And I thought a lot of, he didn't really get hit too much. Only got sacked twice, but took some bad sacks. Those 2 ones were bad. And he really couldn't evade the defense that great either. He was doing it in the preseason, but against backups. And he wasn't great in the pocket in the preseason either. And he wasn't great in the pocket in this game too. Missed some throws. Now he's still rookie. It's his first game, but just 3.2 yards per completion, 14 of 29. Didn't turn the ball over, which is good. Ran for just 15 yards. And the Titans defense did play well. I don't know, man. Like Odunze, I thought he was overdrafted. I'm not even sure how, if his game totally translates to the NFL either. He's a little bit banged up with an MCL sprain. We'll see. Keenan Allen had a bad drop. He dropped a touchdown. He's older now. DJ Moore is still a great player. But I don't know. I don't know. This offense under Shane Waldron didn't look great, man. It did not look good. It looked bad. DeAndre Swift, 10 for 30. He was on my bust list this year. I don't like him. If you could move off him, I would do so ASAP. They worked in Velus Jones a little bit. Herbert just got 2 carries. Travis Homer got 2 carries. Excuse me. Roshan was a healthy scratch. So I don't know what this Bears offense is going to do, man. It should get better. Caleb should get better. But I don't know, man. Like it's going to get cold in Chicago soon. It's going to get windy. There's going to be snow on the ground. He's going to get hit hard. So I don't know. I don't know how it's going to end up, man. They got lucky in this game. They blocked the punt for a touchdown. Freaking Willie Levis, who I call Willie Fubu's, freaking gave them a gift. Threw one up. Just on his knees, threw it up, freaking Carson Wentz style. And that's what Fubu's does, man. He's just he started out very smart, but when push came to shove and he had to start throwing the ball a little bit more, it got ugly. And this Bears defense is legit. Like, they're good. And I streamed them week 1 in a lot of leagues. I was getting them, second to last round. They played great down the stretch. The one thing Eberflus does, he coaches up defense. They got a lot of ballers on defense. Brisker, Edwards, Edmonds, Kyler Gordon, Tyreek Stevens, and Jalen Jones, Jalen John. They got some guys. Montez Sweat was a huge signing for them last year. So the Bears defense is going to keep them in a lot of games for sure. Caleb's going to have a lot of chances. He's just going to have to prove he could throw from the pocket a little bit better. They got to get more, down the field a little bit more, slants he's got to create. We'll see what Odunze's injury. But I would move off of Odunze if I could. I would trade him. I would trade Swift. I would trade Caleb. I would trade everybody. The only guy I really want in this offense is DJ Moore. And I love DJ Moore. He was like my most heavily owned receiver last year. Had a career year with Fields, and Fields missed a month. I mean, he had 1,300 yards with Fields missing a month. Tyler Badgett came in. It was like a bunch of 5 for 50s, kind of like what we saw in week 1. If Moore played the whole season, he may have went over 1,500 yards. But I had more in a couple spots this year, but not like last year. On the other side, Tony Pollard looks great. Bill Callahan comes in. His son's the coach. The dad is the offensive line guru, and the offensive line blocked well. Pollard had some holes. Pollard looked good. 16 carries for 82 yards, 3 catches for 12 yards, breaks that 26-yard touchdown, plays heavily over Tajay Spears. Now they're talking that they want to get Tajay Spears more involved, but Pollard's better. I don't even know how good Tajay Spears is. And the guy doesn't even have an ACL. So I think he's good, but Pollard's the guy there. And they showed that in the preseason. Like Pollard got all the looks in the preseason too in that one game. So the signs were there. And they were getting drafted kind of similar in similar spots. And Levis is gonna, he's gonna make some big plays, but he's gonna have some dumb, turnovers similar to Jameis Winston. When I would watch all his throws from last year, I was like, he's like Jameis Winston. He can make 50, 60-yard throws down the field, but then he's just going to make some huge bonehead mistakes. So he's like Jeff George, I guess, in a way. He has all the arm talent in the world, but he's going to make a ton of bad mistakes, make a ton of bad throws. Calvin Ridley, 3 for 50. Very concerning for DeAndre Hopkins. He was coming back from the knee injury, just 1 for 8, but that's brutal. But again, the Bears defense is tough, man. Like this is a legit defense. It's one of the best defenses in the league. So things should open up a little bit more for the Titans offense. It was good to see Pollard get going. Levis will have some better games, but he'll be sloppy. Like he could throw 25 touchdowns this year and throw 25, 30 picks or have 30 turnovers. Easy. Chig made a hell of a catch. That was a nice throw by Fubus to give him a chance. So I don't mind Chig as a stash, or if you need like desperate tight end help. Hopkins, you just got to hold for now. Ridley, I think Ridley's best days are past him. He was in a better situation last year, in my opinion. So, but we'll see. Again, they're gonna have better days ahead. This is a tough matchup. So that wraps it up. Bears get very, very fortunate to come away with a win here. They were down 17-0 and came back 24-17 and got the W. Guys, any more questions, comments? I appreciate it. Like, subscribe to the show. I appreciate you guys doing that as well. We'll be back here every Tuesday night to, break down all the games of the previous week, talk about FAAB waiver wire, mostly from, for the Wednesday night pickups. But if, we got some, West Coast guys, we can get those pickups in too for you as well. NFL picks going to go to Face Off Sports Network this year. I started out there, then I brought over my channel, but I'm going to put that back on the Face Off Sports Network. And then we'll try to do some other stuff too. I mean, I did a ton of drafts, in the off season. I wanted to do more. I got sick towards the end. We'll have March Madness stuff and NBA stuff as those seasons hit as well. Maybe we'll do a little bit of baseball playoff stuff. We'll see. I'd like to do some of that. I'm just not following baseball like I used to anymore. Been so into the NFL and fantasy football, but certainly be here every Tuesday night. I want to try to get maybe one more show in for you guys. We'll have to come up with something creative, maybe like a start sit show or, something. We'll figure it out. But I appreciate you guys listening tonight. Let's get into the next game. and it's going to be Carolina, New Orleans. I did go back and rewatch this game. Carolina absolutely dominates 47-10. Bryce Young, man, starts the game with an overthrow to Deontay Johnson, 13 of 30, 161 yards, 2 picks. He missed a ton of throws, was on the run. There was a ton of pressure on him, got sacked 4 times. The offensive line does not look good. Adam Thielen is still his leading receiver. I mean, the guy, come on. Mingo, 2 for 40. He fumbled. Leggett had a kind of bunch of garbage catches, 4 for 35. Deontay Johnson just 2 for 19 on 6 targets. Jatavian Sanders, the rookie tight end at Texas, 1 for 4. Miles Sanders, 5 for 22. Chuba, 6 for 14. Absolute disaster opening game for the Panthers under new head coach Dave Canales. People were drafting Chuba, and then you kind of hinted at, we saw Canales hinting at Miles getting some work. So I mean, you can't start any of the. You can't start any Panthers at all. I don't even want to start Deontay Johnson right now. It should get better for Deontay Johnson, because look at what Thielen did last year with Bryce. Like, Deontay should take that role, but I don't know. Maybe Thielen and Deontay just kind of split that shit. So it's ugly, man. And I had hopes for Bryce Young, but I don't know if he has the size. I don't know if he's built for the NFL. I'm starting to really question him now. And we may see Andy Dalton soon. If he doesn't step it up soon, we may see Andy Dalton, which would probably be better for this offense at this point. But let's see. The Saints have a veteran defense. They certainly have a lot of dogs on defense still. They were bringing tons of pressure on him, but Bryce was not seeing the pressure. He didn't have checkdowns, so sometimes shot. This guy, the second-year play, I think Alante Taylor was blitzing off the edge. He had 3 sacks, 3 tackles for loss, 3 QB hits. He was killing it on the blitzes. They were bringing heavy blitzes against Bryce, and he just had no answers. Mathau, Demario Davis, Cam Jordan, Marshawn Lattimore. So veteran defense. The Saints defense is tough. They're a good defense, but Bryce, has no chance against them. So in hindsight, the Saints were a great pick in this game. I just thought the Panthers would be a little bit better. I really did. Their defense was a disaster. Stinks. They just suffered a big injury to Derek Brown, like one of their best defensive players, a Pro Bowler last year. He's out for the year, I think. So it's a mess in Carolina. On the other side, good debut for Clint Kubiak, new offensive coordinator. Derek Carr throws 3 touchdowns, 19 of 23, just 200 yards, but 3 touchdowns. Kamara looked great. And the run system here under Kubiak looks so much better than in years past. Lots of nice tosses. It just looked great. Kamara was running a ton of routes out of the slot, 5 for 27. Rashid Shaheed opens up the game with a 59-yard touchdown on 5 targets. Olave, very slow day, but they didn't really have to throw a lot. They were in control of this game. So just be patient with Olave. Juwan Johnson catches the touchdown. Taysom Hill almost caught a touchdown. Gets 5 carries for 35 yards. Catches 1 ball. But he'll be sporadic. He'll give you some really good weeks. Just going to, again, he's more of a best ball guy. But, I mean, even in redraft, if he qualifies a tight end, it's not bad. He's going to give you some nice weeks. But Carr, very efficient, looks solid. This was a cake matchup, I think, for the most part. So we'll see what happens with the Panthers. Saints, great opening game. I still have my doubts. I don't like Dennis Allen. But I think bringing in Kubiak is going to be a benefit for this whole offense, especially Kamara, man, 5.5 yards per carry. We haven't really seen that high yards per carry from Kamara in a while. So I think this run game is revamped a little bit. And again, Kendrick Miller's nowhere to be found. Jamal Williams stinks. So this is the Kamara show. All right, next game, Pittsburgh at Atlanta. And terrible debut for Atlanta. Kirk Cousins was getting pressured all day long. TJ Watt is an absolute force of nature. Fumble recoveries, tackles for loss, QB hits, sacks, knockdown passes. The Steelers D was all over the place. Highsmith is also a good player. They got Minka, Cameron Hayward, Joey Porter Jr. So the Steelers defense is solid. Kirk Cousins looks sloppy. He didn't look good. Looked like he was favoring his back foot a little bit on some of his throws. Ray McLeod wearing number 34 like he's Ray Buchanan, the ex Falcons corner, is their leading receiver. What the hell? Drake London, 2 catches for 15 yards. Kyle Pitts, 3 for 26 catches, the touchdown. He was absolutely wide open. Mooney, 1 catch for 15 yards. Their first drive started great. I mean, they went right down the field. Mooney was catching passes. London was catching passes. So you just got to hope that it was just, week 1 thing. Not a lot of work for Cousins, or not basically 0 work at all in the preseason. Could they go to Penix at some point if Cousins continues to struggle? But this is what Cousins does. He either really sucks or he goes off. So some better days are ahead. Bijan got a ton of work, 18 carries for just 68 yards though. And then 5 catches for 43. Bijan, man, like he's good, but I don't think he's a great player. I really don't think he's like, I don't know if like he's not Saquon when he came out. Like I think Bijan is good, very good. I just don't know if he'll ever be a great player. But he's certainly special. He's certainly dynamic. He's a good receiving back. I just don't know. I think he's a little overhyped, personally, from a talent perspective. Think he's good. He's going to be good for fantasy, especially with all this work. I just don't think like he's one of like when Saquon came out. I think he was just way better. So Bijan's still going to get a ton of work. He's still going to make big plays. But maybe we temper our expectations just a little bit. Maybe he's not worth a top 5 pick in fantasy, but probably not. I mean, probably so because of the usage. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. Well, it's going to be interesting to see how it all shakes out. And the Falcons' offensive line is certainly a better run blocking line than pass blocking line. I don't want to, say like Bijan was a mistake top 5. I just really what I want to say is I just don't know if he's as good as everybody thinks he is. I still think he's good to very good, but maybe just not like the elite player that a lot of people expected. All right. And certainly I could be very, very wrong about that, but time will tell. On the other side, Justin Fields gets the start, 17 of 23, $156. Not a lot of deep throws. They were running a lot of 3 tight end, 4 tight end sets, like freaking 13, 14 personnel. Pickens played like 70% of the snaps. He's like the only good breathing receiver they have. Calvin Austin, Van Jefferson. Roman Wilson's the guy that keep an eye on, the rookie out of Michigan. He was hurt like all camp, barely played. He's a good guy to keep your eye on because I think he's a good player. I think he could be a nice asset for this offense. So just a guy to keep an eye on. You don't have to go pick him up right now. But I think he could be a factor. Najee gets 20 carries for 70 yards. Fields 14 carries for 57. Freiermuth 4 for 27. So I like Freiermuth. Good value in drafts. Pickens 6 for 85. Didn't even play that much. He could have had another 20 yards, 30 yards. I think it was like a 30, 40-yard throw. It was called back for offensive PI. He pushed off a little bit on the corner. And I believe it was AJ Terrell. Yeah, it was AJ Terrell covering him. But Pickens, man, he's the alpha. He's going to have some monster games. So Steelers are going to win ugly like this. They're going to run the football. Arthur Smith's going to do a lot of ugly, slow shit. But it looks like Fields is getting the start again this week. Russ is still struggling with injury. So Pickens, Harris, Warren, I don't know, man. Like I don't know, but I think I wait and see. He's coming a little bit banged up. Only got 2 carries in this game. No real pickups here on either side or either team here. But Pittsburgh gets the win. Falcons had high hopes, but just scored 10 points and lose in their opener. All right, next game. Jacksonville, Miami. Got a couple more questions. We'll get to it right after this game, guys. Appreciate it. Like, subscribe, and share. Appreciate that as well. Follow me on X at Fantasy Savvy. Dolphins, Jags. This was the total in this game was like 49. We got 37 points. Tua was bad under pressure. Lawrence was bad under pressure. Tua did throw for 338. Tyreek obviously is a big reason why, breaking off that freaking huge play. He goes 7 for 130 and a touchdown after getting handcuffed hours before. Jalen Waddle 5 for 109, 63 long for him. I mean, just throw to those two guys every freaking play. And then Achan 7 for 76 in the passing game. He was like a swing game specialist, just catching swing passes all day long. He gets 7 targets, nothing on the ground though, 10 for 24, but does squeeze into the end zone. Mostert was banged up, just 6 for 9. Very disappointing game for him. 2 catches for 10 yards. He hurt himself at some point. And then we saw Jeff Wilson. A-Chain obviously has the ankle injury. Mostert has the chest injury. We'll see if these guys play Thursday. I don't know. So if you drafted Jalen Wright, you got to hold him. If you need a running back this week and A-Chan and Mostert are out, pick up Jeff Wilson. You could use him this week. Jonnu Smith, they don't throw to anybody besides Waddle and Hill, and it's mostly Hill, and then they run the ball. They've had multiple different guys in here, multiple third receivers, multiple different tight ends. They just will never get enough usage to be productive in this offense. And Tua is not like the type of guy that's just going to explode. He misses throws. He's not good under pressure. He can't evade pressure. So it's just Waddle, Hill, and the running backs. That's it. Forget about Jonnu Smith. Forget about any other slot receiver. Malik Washington, everybody's talking about when he comes. Forget about him. He's not going to do anything. Unless Waddle or Hill get hurt, you can't consider any of these other guys. There's no pickups here. On the other side, Lawrence again, 12 of 21, 162, 1 touchdown, takes 3 sacks. He's not good under pressure. He can't. He struggles with evading pressure as well. It's funny, like you watch Tua and Lawrence against pressure, and then you watch Josh Allen, who's been like facing pressure since he was a rookie, like crazy pressure. He had some of the worst offensive lines, and he just does it like he makes it look so easy, and it's so underappreciated. But when you watch these two guys versus him, you really understand what the hell is going on. Tank Bigsby, 12 carries for 73 yards, looked good. Ran well, ran strong. ETN 12 for 44, but he gets the touchdown. ETN could have had another touchdown, had a nice run up the middle, but fumbled in the end zone. And the next play was that Tyreek play. Absolute killer sequence for Jacksonville there. ETN gets to work in the pass game, played most of the snaps, but they were talking up Tank Bigsby last year. Didn't work out. They talked him up this year. He does look a little bit better, but do you worry about ETN so much? I'm still not going to worry too much yet. Bigsby broke that one big run. Did look good, but it's still ETN around the goal line, which is key. At least for now. But if you have Bigsby, you hold on to him, especially if you're an ETN owner. Gabe Davis, the leading receiver, 3 for 62. Brian Thomas, 4 for 47, catches the touchdown. He also could have had another one. It was in his mitts, but Jalen Ramsey absolutely mugged him. They got a pass interference on that. Ingram, slow day, just 1 for 5. He's going to have some bigger days. Christian Kirk, like the days of him being like, consistent fantasy producer like a couple of years ago, that might be over, especially with the emergence of Brian Thomas now. And even Gabe Davis in town. But really, Brian Thomas, I think those days are probably over when it was just like Kirk and freaking, Zay Jones, and Kirk was the number one. So, but Ingram got to be patient with, he was like the tight end 2 or 3 last year. He'll be fine. But the Dolphins get the win, but it was an ugly game for both teams. Again, it's 1 week. It's week 1. They didn't get a lot of work in the preseason, but, Lawrence, he's limited, and so is Tua. And these guys are not going to win Super Bowls like this. unless their defenses really show up, and neither defense is really dominant. So, and then, the Dolphins are most likely going to have to go play in a cold weather game again and lose in the playoffs. It is what it is. All right. Next game, man, we got a lot of games on the docket, man. We got a lot of games to talk about. All right, let's get into the questions. Exotic Lord says, should I trade Justin Jefferson for Aaron Jones and Deebo Samuel in a half PPR league? Yes, I would do that. 100%. You're going to get Aaron Jones, who is one of the best backs in the league, looked great week 1, and then you get Deebo. In a much better offense with a much better system. So I like Jefferson, but you're getting the 2-for-1. This is a nice 2-for-1 there. So I would do it. Adam Knowlton, thanks for the question, Exotic Lord. Adam Knowlton asks, should I trade CMC, Burrow, Cup? CMC, Burrow, Cup for Lamar, Barkley, Flowers, and Moss. So Lamar over Burrow, Barkley over CMC, Flowers, and Moss for Cup. The only real loss here you're taking, I think, is the Cup. CMC, man, he may be out for a couple more weeks. We don't know. And it's something that could re-aggravate. And you're getting a huge upgrade with Lamar. And Barkley looks nice. And you get the depth with Moss. And you get Flowers, who's not as good as Cup, but still solid. So, yeah, I'd probably do it. And Burrow's an injury risk. CMC's an injury risk. Even Cup's an injury risk. So, yeah, I'd do it, man. I'd make that deal. And Moose on the loose. Moose on the 3 loose. Moose on the loose. Hey, man, should I drop Schultz or Pat Freiermuth for Likely? Yeah, I would drop definitely got to go get Likely. I'd probably drop Schultz. I think Freiermuth has more upside because there's more targets to go around. Schultz is going to be very, very inconsistent, with Diggs, with Collins, with Tank Dell, with Mixon getting 25 carries. And then where Freiermuth's like, he could be the second best option in the offense. So I would drop Schultz for Likely there. And yeah, man, go spend up and get him. Go get Isaiah Likely if you can. Appreciate the question, guys. Don't forget to follow me on Fantasy Savvy on X. There it is below. And like, subscribe, share. Appreciate you guys tuning in. We're going to get to the rest of these games. Get you guys fully caught up on week 1 so we can get ready for week 2. And again, we'll get into start sits on the Face Off Sports Network YouTube channel tomorrow, fffaceoff.com. Go check us out. We got our rankings up. Me, Anthony, Pete, and Mike be doing a show tomorrow on the Face Off Sports Network. And Moose on the Loose says, appreciate you, man. Yeah, got a lot of FAAB on Likely. All right, man. Good luck. Good luck in the sweepstakes. Hope you get them. Adrian Bajan says, should I trade Goff and Neighbors for CJ Stroud? No, I would hold on to Goff and Neighbors. You're giving up too much there. With Neighbors, he was too high of a pick. And Goff won't be too far off from CJ Stroud. I mean, I'd rather have Stroud, of course, but you can't trade Neighbors and Goff there. Thanks for the question, man. Appreciate it. All right, next game. You guys keep firing the questions. I'll get to them after, keep going through these games. Colts, Texans. Did rewatch this game. Anthony Richardson's throw where he slipped, came back up, bombed it to Alec Pierce. That was incredible. And Alec Pierce, man, guy beat Stingley, who's an excellent corner. Like Derek Stingley's legit. I think Derek Stingley didn't expect Pierce to run that fast. Like I legit don't think he was ready for that. And he beat the safety on that play. And Pierce caught another bomb late in the game, went up and came down with it. Dude, Pierce, I don't know, man. Like I had my doubts about this. 6'3", runs a 4.4. It really could be a breakout season for him. And Richardson just fucking bombs it. 9 throws for 19 completions. I mean, 9 completions for 19 attempts. 212 yards, 2 touchdowns. The pass to Ashton Doolin was a laser, and Doolin took off on that crossing route. And then Adonai Mitchell, I believe he had like the most separation out of all receivers this year. I mean, this week. Just missed him on a bomb, too. So Adonai Mitchell, you got to stash him. If he's out there, I'd like to pick him up. Pittman's, I think, is going to be hurt. I mean, he's not going to get the volume he had last year. He's kind of like more like the underneath guy. I mean, the way Pierce beat the like, I don't know. I don't know if this is. I mean, I don't know if Pierce is going to be a thing, but that really intrigued me the way he beat Stingley in that safety like that. And then Adonai, yeah, like his prospects. Richardson also runs for 56 yards and a touchdown, gets a 4th down conversion after Taylor got stuffed twice near the goal line. He just barrels over 2 defenders. Richardson is an absolute freak. He made a couple terrible throws to throw a terrible pick. Miss Adonai wide open kind of in the end zone too. And that's going to happen, but he's going to be fantasy gold the way he runs and the way with his arm. And, and he's got receivers that can come down with it too. Taylor, a little bit of a slow day, 16 for 48, but does get into the end zone, which I believe came after a block punt and put them in good field position. Next play, I think Taylor ran it in by the Colts. But there's nobody behind him. He was on the field. He gets all the snaps. You'd like to see him get a little bit more involved in the pass game. Didn't even get a target. Richardson's not one to really check down. He just wants to throw it deep or just take off. But Taylor will have some nice games, especially with Richardson open things up in the run game. Texans, they got a good D line. They got a pretty good defense under DeMeco Ryans. So it wasn't the best of matchups. On the other side, Stroud, very efficient, 24 of 32, 234, 2 touchdowns. He ran for 13 yards. He doesn't really run much. He can run. Like, he's got some speed, just doesn't run a lot. Likes to stay in the pocket and just toss it. So he's not going to be, like, great for fantasy. Like, he'll probably have a lot of games like this where he's throwing 2 touchdowns, but he'll have some 3-4 touchdown games too. And I do expect him to have probably 30 touchdowns thrown. So it will be a nice fantasy season for CJ Stroud. It's just not going to be like there was one league where I had Dell and I wanted to take Richardson, but I had Dell, so I took Stroud. I'd rather have Richardson. Even though Richardson's more of an injury risk, it's just like he could be a league winner. Where Stroud's like, 18, 20, 15, 20 something points. Richardson will have like those 30, 35 point games every once in a while. But still, I like Stroud. Obviously, very good. Made some big throws. Did take 4 sacks. Missed a couple throws. I made some key throws. The one at the end of the game to seal the game to Nico. It was actually an unbelievable catch. Dude, Nico Collins was watching all his routes. He's unbelievable. Like, he was clocked as the fastest receiver this week, I believe. He's got so much speed. I didn't even realize it. And he's 6'4", and he goes up and gets it, and he's got good hands. I think he did drop 1 pass, but 6 for 117. He's definitely the best receiver on the team. Tank Dell's really, really good too. Just 3 for 40 in this game. Almost had a touchdown. It was kind of they took a shot deep. It was a good play by the Colts corner. Diggs playing in a slot. He's going to be tough to cover in the slot. He's not going to have that A dot that Dell and Collins have, but if he's running a lot of those short underneath routes, he's probably going to rack up a decent amount of catches, and he had 2 touchdowns in this game. So, you could throw him out there every week with confidence right now. And then Joe Mixon in this zone run blocking scheme that he ran at Oklahoma in college looked absolutely great. 30 carries for $159. He's a workhorse back. Joe Mixon is a workhorse back. He's got the size, 6'2", 230. He's just built to take on punishment. And he's only 28. And he started his career not getting a ton of carries. This really could be the best system he's ever been in. I mean, Singletary looked good in this system last year. Mixon, I mean, 30 carries for but so in game scripts like this, and it's not gonna be every week. And supposedly the Colts did kind of sell out to stop the pass, so it kind of created lanes for Mixon. Um, Obviously not gonna have games like this every week, but I mean he's gonna have a lot of touchdowns. He's gonna have a decent amount of yards, and he's the guy. Damian Pierce just 3 carries. Cam Akers was a healthy scratch. Dalton Schultz is 3 for 16. Like I said, he's gonna be very inconsistent. One guy to keep back of your mind is John Mechie, second round pick out of Alabama, had a great preseason, looks back and healthy. So if there's an injury was a healthy scratch this game. I was surprised that Xavier Hutchinson got the work over him. But if there's an injury to Diggs or Dell or Collins, Mechie's a guy that you want to go out and grab and stash. So just keep him in your memory banks. Adonai Mitchell, if he's out there, or if you have him on your team, just be patient. Could have some big games. But Texans get the win here, 29-27 in Indy in AFC South divisional game. All right, next game. Let's get to Josh's question real quick. I just traded Olave, London for Jettis, Justin Jefferson. I don't hate it. I mean, it's a 2-for-1. I think Olave is definitely going to be better. London will definitely be better. But you got the best receiver in the deal, even with Darnold. And it's not like Cousins look great. And you still got Derek Carr, and Shaheed may be more of a factor this year anyway. I mean, maybe it gave up a little too much. Maybe he could have got a little bit more back, but I don't hate it, man. And again, you got the best guy in the deal. Probably going to be the most consistent guy, too, out of those three. I think he gave up. Maybe you could have got a little something back, though, but all good, bro. Thanks for the trade question there, brother. Subscribe to the show if you can. Follow me on X at Fantasy Savvy. Let me pull that down. I don't want that popping up the whole time. All right. Next game, Seahawks, Denver. Seahawks get the win 26-20. Bo Nix did rewatch this game, forced 2 balls into Cortland Sutton into double and triple coverage, throws the picks. 26, threw the ball 40 times, but just had 138 yards for 3.3 yards per completion. Really played in this Sean Payton rollout, thinking, dunking offense. I don't know if Payton's offense is built for the NFL anymore. We'll see. They have these big, slower receivers with Sutton, who's big, Reynolds is big, Devon Valley, who's big. It wasn't a good matchup for the Seattle defense under Mike McDonald, first year head coach, comes over from the Ravens, defense coordinator. Devin Witherspoon's big and fast. And Tariq Woolen is big and fast. So they matched up well with these Denver receivers. There wasn't a lot of separation. There wasn't a lot of running lanes. Javonte Williams looked slow and crusty. Jaleel McLaughlin had more carries than him. They both ran for under 3 yards per carry. Estime had the best run of the day, but he fumbled, and then he got only one other carry besides that. But I'd keep an eye on Estime. I think he may get more uses because honestly, Javonte didn't look good to me. There wasn't a lot of holes anyway, but McLaughlin's not that good either. He caught 5 balls for 1 yard. I mean, and that's what's kind of sucks about PPR because he gets 5 points for that. You should have to at least get 20 yards to qualify. They should change the parameters. You shouldn't be able to get 5 points for freaking 1 yard. That's terrible. Basically, he's getting the same amount of points as a guy who runs for 50 yards. That's bullshit. There's got to be some parameters there. You have to catch the ball for over 5 yards to qualify for the catch, or 3 yards. There's got to be some kind of parameter there. And I hope that we see that in the future in fantasy football. Cortland Sutton's slow day, 4 for 38. Devon Valley, I don't know, 8 catches for 39 yards. I don't know how good he is. I'm not I'm not going crazy to go pick him up. Josh Reynolds 5 for 45. Again, the one guy I keep an eye on here is Estime. It's possible he can get more work here, but the fumble doesn't help. Payne's an old school coach, so but it was a rough debut for the Broncos offense. It just did not look pretty. So we'll see if Knicks can improve. I think he had the nice touchdown run. We'll see if he can improve. But anything like he threw like past 10, 15 yards looked ugly. It was not good. So I don't know. The Broncos could be a shit show. Payne could get fired. Jaleel McLaughlin also had a fumble loss in this game. So we'll see about Estime. I did draft him in a lot of leagues. We'll see what happens. On the other side, Kenneth Walker was the story for me. He looked awesome. 20 carries for 103 and a touchdown. Also caught 2 balls for 6 yards. Did leave with some sort of abdomen injury, which he kind of had like a hernia last year, too. So he said he was fine. There was no updates yet, so we'll have to see what happens with that. Geno Smith runs for a touchdown. He said he was going to run this more this year, and we saw that 4 carries for 30 yards. Charbonnet catches that wide open touchdown on that wheel route, but just really a cuff for Walker at this point. Lockett is the leading receiver, 6 for 77, made some big catches. Had a big catch at the end to seal the W. Jackson Smith and the Jigba. Again, another guy that the fantasy community loves, but I think more of a college star than like an NFL star. Like I think the Jigba is good. I just don't think he's as good as people hyped him up to be. So I don't know if he's ever going to really be like a big time fantasy producer. But again, first game in this new offense. It wasn't great for the passing game, but I think it could get better. And Metcalf was being locked up by Surtain. Metcalf will have better games. So just be patient with all those guys. I still kind of like JSN in this new offense. Fant played a lot, but he really hasn't done much. But he's definitely the tight end to own here. 2 for 11. But Kenneth Walker is the story here. Like they're really going to feature him. And that's smart because he's such an explosive player. But, a little bit nicked up with injuries. So we'll see. But Seattle gets the W. Worry about the Denver offense. I think the Seattle offense will get better as the season goes on. And all 3 of those receivers with Walker will benefit. But we'll see. It is a new system. We'll see how this system, this college guy, a grub, converts to the NFL. All right. Next game. First, we'll answer a question. But the next game will be, we still got a few games left. We're almost done here. I think we got them all. Let's see. Yeah, I got a couple left. Well, next game will be Chargers, Raiders. But let's get into Savvy Edit's question. How much FAAB would you put on Justice Hill? I have Derrick Henry. $100 or $1,000. So I don't know. Let's say probably like 20%. Maybe like I would probably spend about $21. Or, if it's $1,000, maybe like if you have $1,000 FAAB, maybe like 125, something like that. I mean, again, Hill's not going to give you a ton, but I mean, if Henry goes down, he'll give you a little bit more, but I just don't think he has a lot of upside. But he's a good back to own because he's going to give you he could give you like 8 to 10 fantasy points every week. That's valuable. So you don't go too crazy to get him. Like I said, like $20, maybe $21, maybe a little bit less. But some people are desperate for running backs, so they're gonna spend up. So I think it's probably what you got to spend around there. I don't mind spending too much. It's not going to totally kill you, and you do have Henry as well. Thanks for the question, Savietis. Like, subscribe to the show. All right, next game, Chargers, Raiders. Did rewatch this game as well. Ladd McConkey gets to the end zone, 5 for 39 and a touchdown. Playing mostly in the slot. You had like Palmer and Johnston playing ahead of him. But McConkey is probably their best receiver. Makes a nice little move to get into the end zone. Has the most targets as well. So I think McConkey is going to be nice all year with Herbert. Quinn Johnson was a little bit promising. Caught a nice drag route, broke a tackle, had 5 targets, 3 for 38. So not totally dead yet. Josh Palmer dropped a touchdown, 2 for 15. So to me, it's McConkey is the only real guy I'm excited about in the passing game right now. Right now, maybe Palmer, maybe Johnson. Forget about Hayden Hurst. And then the story is J.K. Dobbins. I mean, this guy has been through so much. The ACL tear, the MCL tear, the hamstring tear, the Achilles tear. People left him for dead going 10th, 11th round in fantasy drafts and comes out 10 for 135, breaks off 2 huge runs, the longest for 61, RB3 on the week, gets the touchdown, breaks a tackle, gets in, also catches 3 balls for just 4 yards. But much better than Gus Edwards, who's just 11 for 26. Dobbins is the better runner. His career yards per carry is 6.1. The question is, can he hold up? Can he stay healthy? Now, he's had freak injuries. The MCL, the ACL, that was a freak injury. The Achilles tear, he was hip drop tackled on that. So, is he going to get another freak injury? Probably not. Could it be something that, from his past injuries kind of makes his body compensate? Hammy, quad, and whatever. That's possible. But I mean, any running back, it's the most injury prone position pretty much. Could get hurt. And he's in such a great situation with Harbaugh, a guy that wants to run the football, that wants to play defense. So I'm holding on J.K. Dobbins. He's talented as hell. I mean, he may not be truly the guy he once was, but he's pretty close. And that's good enough. I mean, you watch his carries from a couple of years ago, just so impressive as a runner. One of the best runners in the league, my opinion. Again, maybe not now with all the injuries, but still, even that second big run that he broke out was a patient run. Nice cut. So he knows what the freak he's doing out there. He knows how to run the football. And he worked out with Rodgers and he did all the right things. And he's saying he's such a positive guy. Can't help the root for this guy. By the way, he broke that big run after the Raiders punted on 4th and 1 from like the Chargers 45, which is an absolutely terrible decision. The Chargers went down and scored a touchdown. So I don't know what Antonio Pierce was thinking there. That was a terrible decision. So J.K. Dobbins, if he's out there in your league, you're spending a bunch of money to go get him because he could be a league winner. The injury concerns, forget about that. Don't even think about that. Just think about the upside and go for the jugular. Herbert, 17 of 26, a buck 44, 1 touchdown. Only ran 4 times for 6 yards. The days of Herbert being like a big time fantasy quarterback are probably over, especially in this offense. The other side, Gardner Minshew throws it 33 times, completes 25 for a touchdown and a pick. The touchdown goes to Alexander Madison, who made a nice play. Like kind of hurdled the guy, broke a tackle, 4 for 43 through the air, 5 for 19 on the ground. Zamir White led the team with 13 carries with just 44 yards. Had a couple nice runs, but also did lose a fumble. Minshew also lost a fumble. The Chargers defense looked good. I don't mind streaming them. Khalil Mack looks like rejuvenated with Bosa finally healthy too. They have a talented defense. It just took a guy like Harbaugh to kind of, get this team going again. Brandon Staley was an absolute disaster. It just shows you how important coaching is. And I think the Chargers are really on the right track. Devontae Adams, kind of a slow day, 5 for 59, but he'll take it. Jacoby Myers, 3 for 61. Brock Bowers, most targets with 8, 6 for 58, was playing way ahead of Meyer, especially on passing downs. Like, and they only had one tight end. It was Bowers. It wasn't Meyer. And Bowers is the better player. Meyer is more of a big, burly tight end, and Bowers is the more explosive guy. And they took him freaking 7th overall, whatever it was. So they're going to play this guy. They're going to feature this guy, and he's a good player. He's going to be a good pick this year in fantasy. I wanted the Jets to take him. They took offensive line. But the Chargers get the W here. They look legit. They can run the football. They can play defense. They got those 2 pass rushers. They got good corners. Sante Samuel. They got Derwin James. They got new D tackles. So they got something going here. They brought in Bud Dupree. Chargers are legit. And Antonio Pierce, you can't punt the ball on 4th and 1 from the Chargers 45 in the 4th quarter. You got to go for it there, bro. I don't know what you're doing. And Xavier says, I appreciate it. Appreciate you, man. Come back soon. Like, subscribe if you can. Appreciate that as well. Click the icon so you know when I go live, all that. All right. A couple more games here. Dallas, Cleveland. I didn't go and rewatch this game. I don't really, I was going to watch it. I just didn't have time. Deshaun Watson, 24 of 45, 169, 1 touchdown, 2 picks. I don't know. Maybe he's toast. We'll see. Just found out today that if Watson, he's got this new charge against him, this civil charge for more sexual assault. If he gets suspended again, the Browns are off the hook for that guaranteed money. So it seems like it's going to happen. Like the Browns front office is going to make this happen somehow. And Jameis Winston's going to come in at some point. And Deshaun Watson's, he's in deep shit right now. Going to lose all that money. Could get suspended again. So will that be a good thing for this offense? Jameis Winston stinks. Like he misses receivers left and right too. So I don't know. I don't even know if Jameis Winston would be an upgrade over Watson at this point. I don't know. Jerome Ford salvaged his day with a cheap touchdown at the end, 12 for 44. So, 0 RB drafters, be happy for that cheap shit you got. 6 catches for 25 yards. Nick Chubb should be back at some point. We'll see when that happens. They're definitely going to slowly gear him in. This guy had a gruesome injury, but it was all the way back in week 2 last year. It was to the same knee that he had in college, though. But you hold Chubb, and you could throw Ford out there. Dante Foreman did not get any work. Pierre Strong stinks. Judy catches a touchdown, but just 3 for 25. Cooper, 2 for 16. Very concerned. Tough defense there with Dallas, though. And it's Watson's first game, but it was ugly. They're probably missing Joe Flacco right now. Cooper could have had a touchdown, though. He actually dropped it. It was a little bit overthrown, but he still could have came down with it. The Njoku 4 for 44, but got hurt. He may be out. We'll see. But no pickups of note here. On the other side, Zeke 10 for 40 gets into the end zone. Dowdle 8 for 26. The running game's a mess. But Zeke is probably the guy. He's going to be the goal line guy. CeeDee Lamb just 5 for 61. Slow day for him. 4 for 40 for Cooks. Gets into the end zone. Jalen Brooks catches a pass. Jalen Tolbert just 1 catch for 12 yards. Ferguson 3 for 15. He's got the MCL sprain. It is possible. It looks like it could be more mild than initially thought, and he could be back this week. We'll see. Dak slow day, 19 for 32, 179, just 1 touchdown. Didn't have to do much. They had this game in control. Watson was just going 3 and out, 3 and out. They can just play it slow. Again, Cleveland's defense is good too. They did sack Dak 3 times. That's the strength of this team. This team beat the 49ers last year with PJ Walker at quarterback because of their defense. But we'll see about Deshaun Watson. Again, if he gets suspended, the Browns are off the hook. So, to me, I think he's done. At some point, I think he's going to get suspended, and we're going to see Jameis Winston. And we'll see what that does for the offense. Maybe at that point, Stefanski's like, let's just throw the freaking ball left and right. He gives a shit. Nick Chubb, we'll see if he comes back. And then Dallas will have better games. Lamb will have his big games. Ferguson, hopefully, he's coming back healthy. Dak will be better fantasy-wise. Started a little bit slow last year, then really got hot. Again, these teams didn't play a lot in the preseason, did nothing really in the preseason. So it's going to take a couple weeks maybe for these offenses to really start getting going a little bit. All right. We got 3 games left. I'll wrap this baby up. Washington at Tampa. Did watch most of this game. And J.D. Daniels, like fantasy-wise, 9th, 10th round, 8th, 9th, 10th round pick. 88 yards running, 2 touchdowns. Just 184 yards to the air, but it was 17 of 24, so he was efficient. Missed Terry on a deep bomb, but he was smart for the most part, getting down, sliding. But I mean, if he's gonna stay healthy, he's gonna be fantasy gold because he's just gonna run so much like Lamar. I mean, he's got that speed he just run by everybody. And then, I'm not a big Cliff Kingsbury guy. I think his offense is a little bit stagnant, a little bit stale, it's a little bit sour. But he spreads the receivers out and it creates running lanes for the quarterback. So it's going to work. And then I think Daniels will hit on his passing too. Like I think he's going to have some 300-yard passing games. So he's going to be excellent for fantasy. Terry McLaurin, be patient with. Luke McCaffrey, deep sleeper. I think he's going to emerge as the number 2. Almost caught a touchdown there. Again, he has the pedigree. If you didn't hear me say it, we know about CMC. We know about his dad, Ed. But on his mother's side, his mom was like an all-American soccer player, and his grandfather was an Olympic runner. So he's got the elite pedigree. And McCaffrey, man, was a quarterback, converted receiver. He's athletic. He's 6'2", he ran a faster 40 than his brother. He's a guy that you want to be ready to pounce on because I think this passing game is going to get going. Their defense stinks. They're going to have to pass a lot. So have Luke McCaffrey on your radar. Daniels did fumble 3 times, but didn't lose any. And then Brian Robinson is just such a good back. 12 carries for 44 yards and a touchdown. Underrated receiver. 3 catches for 49 yards. Eckler also has 4 catches for 52 yards. But I don't think that's going to happen every week. Brian Robinson was the guy to draft first. And he's just good, man. Brian Robinson's legit. So Luke McCaffrey's the guy to look out for there. Forget about Zacchaeus. Forget about Crowder. Forget about Zach Ertz. The other side, Baker Mayfield. In this new offense with Liam Cohen, the guy he had a little stint with there in Los Angeles with McVay when he was on the Rams. They've moved Godwin to the slot, 8 for 83 and a touchdown. Evans is such a beast. He's a Hall of Fame receiver, 5 for 61, 2 more touchdowns. Jalen McMillan could have had 2 touchdowns. I think he dropped one, caught 1 for 32, played a ton of snaps. Baker, 24 of 30, 289, 4 touchdowns, no picks. Rashad White, 15 for 31 on the ground. Bucky Irving, he's going to be a factor in this offense. 9 carries for 62 yards, catches 2 for 14. Bucky's a guy you want to keep an eye on and get if you need running back help. He's good. He's a quality back. So White actually has some competition, unlike last year. So, but White, he just continues to be such a huge factor in the passing game. 6 for 75. But I think Irving will eat into that a little bit more. But we'll see when that happens. Right now, White's still got the main role. But Irving, the better running back in this game, as far as rushing, 6.9 yards per carry compared to White's 2.1. But Jalen McMillan, man, he's out there. Go pick him up. He's going to have some nice games. Kind of reminds me of Will Fuller. But Godwin, get excited about him. Moving back to the slot. Again, the Washington defense stinks. So it's not going to be like this every week. But the Bucks offense was good last year, and I think it's going to continue right into this year again. They got all the weapons. And Baker's playing good football. Sober Money asks if I play Dynasty. I do. I'm in only one Dynasty league. I'm more of a high stakes redraft player. But I play in all types of leagues. IDP, best ball, keeper auction. My first ever league was an auction keeper league. But I do play in one dynasty league. If you got any questions, we could talk about it, or you want to make any comments, all good, man. Appreciate it. Thanks for joining us tonight. All right, couple games left. We'll go with the Sunday night game. Rams, we all watched it. Stafford, 317 yards. We saw Puka go down with the PCL sprain. He'll be out a month. Cooper Kupp gets 21 targets, 14 for $110 and a touchdown. And again, we talked about at the top of the show, a guy wanted to maybe trade Kupp. Kupp is just going to get manufactured touches. Nobody does a better job than McVay getting these guys layup catches, getting them open on rubs. And Kupp still is a good route runner. He's smart. We saw the toe tap catch. We saw the routes he runs, even at 31. Still a bit of an injury risk himself, but without Puka, he's going to be an absolute animal in this offense. Win you weeks single-handedly. This could be like a revert of the 2021 season where he went absolutely off. Was the number one fantasy receiver. Maybe not to that extent, but still going to be very, very highly productive. Tyler Johnson, a guy that I always liked, came over from the Bucks. I had that one big play, 63 yards. I'm not going to get too excited about Tyler Johnson. I'm more excited about DeMarcus Robinson. I'd rather own him. And Jordan Whittington, he's like a Kupp, Puka, another same type style. Physical receiver, plays with a lot of energy, can break tackles, good with the yak. He's going to get more involved in this offense, I think, starting this week. Now with Puka out. So look for that. He's a guy I want to pick up for sure. And then if you need running back, tight end help, Colby Parkinson isn't terrible, but McVay did hint at maybe using Davis Allen a little bit more. Blake Corum, be patient. He said that he wants to use Blake Corum more, but Kyron is still the guy. He's still going to be the main guy. Just 2.8 yards per carry, 18 for 50. Again, their line was banged up, and they're missing 2 offensive linemen now. So there wasn't a lot of holes, but he gets into the end zone. Kyron gets 3 for 4. But Corum could be a little bit of a threat. We'll see how Corum looks. Like Corum could come in and look good and then just earn a role. So that was kind of the concern with Kyron this year, whether it was just overusage, getting injury, or Corum kind of, showing his talents and kind of earning a bigger role. So we'll see. And we know how McVay is with his backs. He's very wish-washy. Last year before the season, Cam Akers was going to have a huge role for them. And then he was benched in week 1 for Kyron, and then Cam Akers was traded after that. Darrell Henderson, Akers that we don't know who the freak it was. So we'll see. Kyron, I still think is very good back. He got all the usage, but there still is the risk of Corum eventually maybe earning a bigger role at some point. He keeps talking about Ronnie Rivers. I think he just trusts Rivers early in the season. Eventually, obviously, I think he wants to give that to Corum. So don't worry about Ronnie Rivers. On the other side, Goff, 18 of 28, 217, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. Story of the day here was Jameson Williams, 5 for 121, 9 targets, the leading receiver. And all the talk was Jameson Williams is looking great in camp. Jameson Williams is running all the routes in the route tree. Dan Campbell was very excited about him, and he looked absolutely awesome. Ran some great routes, created a ton of separation. Also had a 13-yard run. And really, if you're a Amon-Ra St. Brown owner, I think you got to be a little bit concerned for where you took Amon-Ra St. Brown there, top 10 overall. Is he going to get all that production now with the emergence of Jameson Williams? After Jameson Williams' first year at the ACL, barely played. Second year, started the year with the suspension, also had the hammy injury in camp. So Jameson Williams is here now. And you could tell he could do things that Amon-Ra St. Brown cannot do, like create separation like that and get deep down the field, which Amon-Ra St. Brown can't do. So he creates a whole different dynamic for this offense. So that's why I said, if you want to, St. Brown is still going to have a ton of monster games. They still do a great job of getting him open. But I don't know if he's going to be the consistent option that we've seen in years past. So if you wanted to sell high on him now, see what you could get for him. I don't hate it. Laporta, he may be affected a little bit too. They did run the ball a lot in this game, 28 times. Montgomery at the end of that last drive just pulverized the Rams defense, 17 for 91 and a touchdown. Gibbs was getting a lot of work though. 11 for 40. He had a great touchdown run. Also caught 4 for 34. So both these guys are going to be great. I do think that Gibbs is going to kind of take the lead role a little bit, especially with the more passing work. But I mean, Campbell loves Montgomery. Supposedly Montgomery came into camp like in unbelievable shape. And the way how like they were giving Gibbs a lot of the carries before that last drive. And then Montgomery, I think, was just fresh. And the Rams defense was just worn down. He just ran right through them. Like they threw the ball once to Gibbs. The rest would just run the ball down the throat, and they won the game. So real excited about Jameson Williams. I think he's legit. I think he's for real. And I don't think he's going away. So a little bit of concern for Laporta and Amon-Ra St. Brown there. And then I like Jordan Whittington as a deep pickup and Demarcus Robinson to kind of step up. Tyler Johnson's probably going to get some work. And probably will have some big games here and there, but I'm not going to go too crazy for Tyler Johnson. All right, last game, guys, was Jets-Niners last night. And we saw Jordan Mason fill in. CMC was a late scratch. Mason said he knew Friday. We hear about this Achilles thing, late. So I don't know. The Niners could have gave us more info. If we would have knew it was an Achilles, we probably would have had plans to put in a different back before, Monday. So it killed a lot of fantasy owners. I took 3 or 4 L's with CMC in the leagues I have him in. The 116 team league, I have Mason, but I still lost anyway, even with his monster game. I had Debo too. I was just down a lot of points. The guy had Barkley that I faced. But Mason's a good back, man. He's gotten better, and this offensive line is solid. I mean, most backs are going to look good in this system, but he's built for it. He's a big body back. He can take a punishment. Just 1 catch for 5 yards, but 28 carries for $147. So absolute great handcuff if you had CMC. Debo, 8 carries for 23 yards. He gets to the end zone, also catches 5 for 54. Juwan Jennings is a factor, 5 for 64. I don't know if you have to go out and get Juwan Jennings. Ayuk was kind of limited because he was just coming back, signed late. He had to drop touchdown. So Ayuk's going to get more snaps, which will probably relegate Jennings a little bit. But Jennings is the third guy. And even when Pearsall comes back, I think Jennings will kind of maintain that role a little bit. Pearsall probably will work in. So I'm not going to go crazy on Jennings, but Jennings is just a solid player for them. It was great in the playoffs last year for them as well. Purdy, no touchdowns, 19 of 29, but it'll get better. Again, tough matchup against the Jets. Kittle, 4 for 40. But CMC, we'll see. We'll see what happens with this Achilles thing. He's going to need a lot of rest, it seems like. He's been resting for about, I don't know, I guess maybe 3-4 weeks now. We'll see. I think he's going to be out again this week, and we'll see what happens after that. Aaron Rodgers, beautiful pass to Lazard. Lazard ends up having 2 touchdowns, but I'm not going to get excited about Alan Lazard. But, I mean, Mike Williams is eventually going to work more into this offense. He'll take that number 2. So the long-term prospects of Lazard, and he stinks anyway. But Rodgers does like him. The second touchdown was actually a garbage time touchdown. Taylor threw it to him. Breece Hall gets to the end zone, 16 for 54. Breece also catches 5 for 39. Tough matchup. The offensive line didn't look as good as I expected. But again, this is a tough Niners defense. Garrett Wilson, 6 for 60. Conklin just 1 for 6. I thought he was going to get a little more target, but he's so slow. The second receiver, it's just going to be a lot of Breece and a lot of Garrett. I don't know, man, about the Jets. Like, that's why I can't get my hopes up with this freaking team, because every year they just let me down. But again, tough matchup. You got to go all over the West Coast. Your internal clock's all screwed up. You're playing like at 10, 11 o'clock East Coast time. You got to fly all the way across the country on Monday night. It was a tough spot for the Jets here. A little better days ahead. They play the Titans this week, so it should get better. Wooly Fubles is in deep shit against his Jets defense. But I thought Rodgers played well. in his first game back. Again, made some really nice throws. Brees is going to be heavily utilized. Garrett Wilson is going to be great. But as far as another option for the Jets, like I'm not really excited about anybody else. Um, and that's it, guys. We got through all the games. So I appreciate everybody tuning in. Again, I'm going to try to get one other show. This show is going to be every Tuesday night. We're going to do NFL picks on the Face Off Sports Network. So follow me over there. I'm also on with those guys Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. But I want to try to get one more show on the channel. Maybe we'll do some like a live underdog draft for best ball. Maybe we'll do something like that, and we'll talk about the week ahead. I think that might be a good idea to do. But I appreciate it, guys. Again, we got college basketball stuff. We got NBA stuff as those season gets going. I appreciate it. Follow me on my Twitter, Fantasy Savvy on X. You'll see everything I'm doing. Like, subscribe to the show. I appreciate everybody tuning in. We got one more question from Swim Diamond. Should I trade Achane and Waddle for Amon-Ra and Montgomery? Very close there, man. Achane obviously has the injury concerns. Montgomery's in a great situation. He's probably a little bit more safe. Obviously, Achane has the upside. I mean, 7 for 75. He's going to be heavily used in the passing game. But I just talked about Amon-Ra, maybe taking a down step with Jameson there, and Waddle is so good. I don't think you need to make that deal. It could work out. It could not work out. It could be very even. I just don't think you need to make the deal. I think you could just hold on to Achane and Waddle. Again, you have 2 Dolphins, though, so maybe it's good to split it up and get the two. Well, then you got 2 Lions. So do you want 2 Dolphins or 2 Lions? But, I mean, Achane and Waddle are awesome. Amon-Ra and Montgomery are awesome. But I think I would just hold. I would hold on to Achane and Waddle. Appreciate the question, Swim Diamond. Come back again. Like, subscribe if you can. So that's it, guys. We'll be back soon. Again, follow me on X at Fantasy Savvy. Appreciate everybody coming in tonight. Appreciate everybody that subscribe. Take care. See you soon.